Ladies and gentlemen, over the course of this video, I want to show you 3 simple hacks I use to reprogram my mind to manifest $1.7 million. But before I do that, I want to introduce you to the biggest paradigm shift that allowed me to stop making my life harder, having to work harder, trade my time for money, and unlock something that allowed me to hit an exponential rocket ship towards the income goals I had for myself, the career goals I had for myself, and make my financial success an effortless byproduct of who I became and not selling my soul to do so. Now, before I get into actually how you can reprogram yourself, I need to break down the biggest paradigm shift that you're gonna need to experience as an individual to overcome this in your own life. There's 2 paths that you're gonna be able to walk, right? Most people are trading their time for money. It's a linear path of hard work. Other individuals have figured out how they can make money work for them, how they can hit effortless ramps of energy that kind of transcend normal paradigms and allow them to manifest the success they desire. All right, paradigm shift. This is going to be the most important thing you need to understand. It is going to completely reshape the way you observe the world, right? The people you see, the places you go, the things you chase, the goals you have. Most people are stuck in a Newtonian causal universe. This means that people think in the external world things happen in sequences, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to take a quick second to invite you to get access to my free 90-minute Ascension Masterclass. You're actually going to get a full 90-minute presentation from one of my paid Ascension live workshops. So if you wanted to check out what goes down behind the curtains and how you can take this information to the next level to actually implement and see the transformation you're looking for in your life, click the first link in the description and it is yours for free. I'm going to do A, which is going to lead me to B, which is going to lead me to C. This is an outdated paradigm of the universe. If you are living in this manner, if you are looking to the external world for validation, right? The watch you wear on your wrist, the car you drive, what you look like in the mirror after you've only been working out for 3 days and dieting for a week. That is looking for a cause and effect in the material world. But we are having our paradigm completely reshaped by quantum physics. You need to realize that this Newtonian view of the universe has an inverted perspective of energy and how we consciously interact with it through our awareness, right? In this view of the universe, we are actually observing things with our eyesight, right? What we can see, touch, and feel, the 5 senses, the material world, right? This is the 3D world. It is the density, less energy, more matter. But the biggest thing you're going to need to shift internally is going to be jumping to a new paradigm of quantum physics. This is going to be the observer effect, right? How our observation and how our awareness and our intent behind what we hope to see from the world is actually shaping the energetics we experience, consciously or unconsciously. Now, the observer effect is the idea that the electron cloud is 99.9% energy. And as soon as there is an observer, it collapses into reality, right? So this is actually how we are experiencing immaterial thoughts, immaterial frequencies come into material being. At the core of the experience, this is what's happening when things go from potentialities to actualities. This is essentially the concept behind quantum physics. The electron cloud is 99.9% energy. It has not been collapsed into a material experience yet, which means it is potential, which means within there is an infinite amount of multiverses or realities that you could experience, right? I could just walk off screen right now and then not come back and leave the screen blank for 5 minutes. That's a potentiality, but I'm not going to collapse it into actuality through observing that, right? To observe that is to be a partaker in it through our awareness, right? Through our spiritual essence, our mind sight. Now, if you're going to look to live in this manner, you're going to realize that you can no longer observe the material world because the material world is a denser frequency. This denser frequency, you're not going to be able to do as much with it. If you're resonating at a lower state, if you're deriving your experience from the material world, then your frequency is going to be directly correlated to the lack, therefore, of that you experience in the material world. Versus if we're able to start living energetically, we can shift to a layer of being that starts to resonate at a higher frequency. And I'm going to show you how you can do this through your thoughts and emotions. But before I do that, I need to break down how you are likely falling victim to subconscious patterns. These are programs that are running on autopilot, where your body has become better at putting these habits into motion than you are consciously thinking about doing, right? This is going to be your biggest threat from transitioning out of that paradigm of hard work, trading your time for money, then making that quantum leap into the paradigm of the quantum physics and the observer effect. Your subconscious programs and habits are going to be the greatest threat to that experience, and I'm going to break that down. Ladies and gentlemen, the greatest threat to your abundant future, the greatest threat to the future in which I manifested $1.7 million was my inability to overcome my subconscious habits. Your subconscious mind makes up for 95% of your experience, right? It is subconscious, which means it's under your conscious mind. Your conscious mind can only process 5 to 10% of the options we have daily. Your body is naturally carrying out certain behaviors, thoughts, and emotions effortlessly because you have created so many neural pathways in which we do so. So after I break this down, I'm going to show you how you can start to rewire your mind effortlessly to align with the frequency of an abundant future. You get to decide what that abundance looks like. You get to decide what that success looks like. For me, I wanted lifestyle freedom, I wanted time freedom, I wanted location freedom, and I wanted financial freedom. I wanted to be able to be anywhere in the world, do anything with anyone, and make money that allowed me to experience the things I wanted to experience. So if that sounds like you, the first thing we need to handle is getting clarity on the set of unconscious thoughts, emotions, and behaviors that are carried out on autopilot in your everyday life. Now, the more you think thoughts, you're creating more neural networks in your mind, right? Neural pathways. I want you to think about it as if you're skiing on a mountain. The same thoughts you have are taking the same path down the mountain. The more you think those thoughts, the more deeply ingrained those neural networks are in your mind, which means it's going to be easier to think those thoughts. When you think those thoughts, your brain releases a certain chemical in your mind that is perfectly aligned with that thought. So you're going to start to feel the things associated with those thoughts. Now, when you start to feel more of that experience from your past or worries about your future, you're going to start thinking more thoughts associated with that. Knowing this, we need to learn how to shift from an unconscious state of being to a conscious state of being. And the key is going to be learning to shift your electromagnetic frequency through changing our thoughts and our emotions. But I want you to tell me if this sounds anything like you. We all have those unconscious habits. Our alarm goes off at 7:30 a.m. We turn over, we grab our phone, we scroll, we check our emails, we check Instagram, we check Twitter. Then we wake up and we go straight for the coffee machine. After the coffee machine, we take a shower, we get ready to head to work. After work, we come back, we eat the same dinner, we watch the same TV shows, we scroll, and then we go to bed. This is how individuals set the intentions to, hey, I want to manifest more money. Grant, I want to figure out how I can launch an online business, become a social media personality, and change people's lives and get paid to do so. That's your conscious mind. That's 10% of your thought, when 90% of your power and energy is being siphoned out into unconscious behaviors. You may get the dopamine hit of be like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to start this online business and do X, Y, and Z. But then as soon as you're done with that, you're back to snacking, you're back to watching a show, you're back to doom scrolling. So the key is how do we get you into a conscious state of living where you are fully present? Because when you are unconscious, your past behaviors are creating your future. So you're technically never living in the present. You're only living in the past. If you're tired of living in the past, if you're tired of the predictability of falling victim to the same habits, to the same behaviors, for me, it was smoking weed. For me, it was eating like crap to numb myself because I wasn't living up to my full potential. You're going to need to adopt a routine in which you unlock a state of being, an embodiment, an energy about you that allows you to navigate the challenges of life as they are thrown your way. Now, a conscious individual wakes up. They start their morning slow. They're not doing any doom scrolling. They're just breathing. They're paying attention to where their feet are. They're 10 toes down. They're gonna review their goals they set the night before. They're like, hey, I got 5 super important things that I need to take care of today. Let me review those, sit with it, and decide if this is the path. If it's not the path, they're adaptable. They're not saying, hey, I was gonna go to the gym at 10 a.m. like I normally do, but I'm actually gonna sit down and work for 3 hours and then I'll go to the gym at 2. That's how a conscious individual thinks. They are aligned with their goals. They are aligned with their intentions. They're gonna say no to things that do not serve them. Conscious individuals have an easier time saying no than saying yes. Now, this individual is also all about execution because so many people are stuck thinking, right? Your path to transformation goes from thinking to doing to being. Most people are stuck in the thinking part. And because they're only thinking with 10% of their conscious mind, they're falling victim to unconscious patterns, which they're doing on autopilot. Your body has become programmed to be better at executing a certain thought, executing a certain emotion, executing a certain behavior than your mind. Your body will literally do it better than you. Think about it when you drive the car. You hop in the car, you're headed to the gym, you take the same route, you listen to the same music. Your body takes you there without even having to think about it. This is why your greatest threat to shaping an abundant future for yourself is going to be your unconscious habits. Now, I want to teach you how you can reprogram yourself. And it's going to start with doing new things. And through consistently doing new things, like thinking new thoughts, surrendering emotions that no longer serve you, you're going to become a new individual. This is how I shifted my identity from being $80,000 in debt, smoking weed every day, being 40 pounds overweight, to letting go of it all. I completely disidentified with that version of myself. And I started to do new things. I started signing social media creators. I started building their brands, building their businesses. I started to make really, really good money. And it was a product of an effortless state of being. And it all started by shifting my frequency through changing my thoughts and emotions. So that's what we're gonna get into next. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to show you how you can take back your power from your fears about tomorrow and your judgments about yesterday. Because if we do not keep ourselves present, if we are not using our thoughts and our emotions to be present in this moment, then we are using it to recreate a past that we no longer want to experience. And I'm gonna tell you this through my own experience. Now, in 2022, I had a clothing brand. I went $80,000 in debt because I wasn't the person that could sustain the business at scale. I started to scale up doing almost $100,000 a month with the clothing business, but behind closed doors, I was smoking, I was eating like shit, I wasn't taking care of myself, I wasn't putting my finances and my responsibilities first. And because of this led me to smoke weed to numb myself, eat shit to numb myself even more, and overall I was just misaligned, right? And then this led to like an entire cascade down into what I call my hell on earth, right? We've all had a moment where we hit rock bottom and we're like, well, shit, I can't stay here. Something's gonna need to change. Now, I was sitting here in the present moment, graduating college, have gone through all the gnarly things I went through, and I was like, Grant, we need to change. We need to change. But I kept falling victim to thoughts about the past. Grant, will you ever forgive that girl that cheated on you? Will you ever forgive yourself for smoking weed when you should have been working? And because I was thinking those thoughts, it led to certain emotions that kept me unconsciously thinking I was living in the past, which did no good for me. And because I was unconsciously thinking I was living in the past, I wanted to numb myself through smoking weed, eating like shit. And then my actions were misaligned. The secret to unlocking more financial abundance is aligning your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors with the equitable output of the goals you desire, right? If my goal was to start a $1.7 million creator agency, I don't think smoking weed, eating like shit, and being misaligned is the same electromagnetic frequency as the future I wanted to experience. So the first thing I had to do was start taking my power back to the present moment. All we have is now. This is why Eckhart Tolle talks about the power of now. Because the past is an illusion in our mind. Thanks to Dr. Joe Dispenza, we know thoughts are just electrical signals. The more we think those electrical signals, the more we're wiring our brain to easily think those thoughts. When we're more easily thinking those thoughts, we're going to more easily experience the emotion, which is the chemical experience within our body. So technically, we are thinking about the past, but we're reliving that experience now. So we are actually recreating the things we no longer want to experience now. If I were to even reflect on this moment and I wouldn't have done any of the work I've done, I can still feel the angst from that period in time. But the next step is to surrender it. Realizing, thanks to cause and effect, the death of the Newtonian paradigm of cause and effect, there's no thing that you can logically do to solve this problem. Like A does not lead to B, which leads to C. So based on the energetics of the quantum physics, and if we even kind of break down the energetic spectrum, if we know the lower states of being are denser, right? This is more matter. This is going to be like, I'm just going to put fear down here. And then let's say I put peace up here. This is not exact by any means, but the higher frequencies are more energy and less matter. The more you identify with the negativity, the more you're going to be living in an outdated paradigm. You're going to be looking for things in the physical world like I was, like the weed and the food, to justify that because that was the frequency I was at. Versus my ability to surrender those things, I was like a beach ball being held underwater. I want you to think about that. If you're not able to grow from some of the experiences you have, it's because you're still identifying with the negativity of the past. Right? You're still identifying with that version of yourself. You're like holding this beach ball underwater. When the secret energetically is all you need to do is let go, because then it skyrockets. Now, the secret is going to be learning not to fall back into old patterns, right? Because we know we've thought so many thoughts so many times, we felt those emotions so many times, it's super easy for us to fall back into those programs. So the next step when you surrender is to get clarity, right? We need clarity on the things we're going to do now that we live in the present moment. For me, this was disidentifying. I had to disidentify with the version of myself I didn't want to be. 2, this was aligned action, right? So for me starting a creator agency, this was client work, right? Like reaching out to clients. This was ingenuity, right? And I wasn't going to be able to experience ingenuity to start making my clients more money if I was so focused on the negative states of emotion. I needed to have more inspiration, which came from a higher energetic place. You see the power of the energetics if we start living in this manner? Now, the final thing I needed to do was double down on the action, right? I went from thinking about my past to doing something differently, which inherently allowed me to become a different person. Even though I hadn't made the money at the time, I was literally being the person that was going to go through the experiences, experience the new thoughts, experience the new emotions, experience the new behaviors that aligned with the outcome. At the peak of business, we are making $267,000 a month. But that's not something I just snapped my fingers and manifested out of thin air. That's the greatest thing. It takes real work. And it takes self-development. You have to work on yourself to see this type of transformation. And that's why I make these videos about the money, but I don't tell you about money. I don't tell you about how I run my business. I need to tell you about the energetics. I need to tell you how if you're still fixating on the thoughts and emotions associated with your past, you're going to be creating a predictable future. Literally, your past experience is being recreated energetically now. The same routine that you had today for work will be the same one you have for tomorrow. Versus, if we can take our power back, if we can just start to let go of those thoughts and emotions that no longer serve us, if we say, you know what, I'm getting rid of that timeline because it's not who I am. And because of that, you're going to have a more predictable, unpredictable future. So you're taking all of your power back to this energetic moment of the now, which gives you clarity. You're going to be like, hey, these were things that I objectively did in the past I'm no longer going to do. But now I'm going to work on staying present. And the way I stay present is by surrendering the thoughts and emotions that no longer serve me. Through that surrender, I'm going to unlock clarity because now I have peace of mind. My mind's not yapping. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Yes, Grant was $80,000 in debt, but it gave him the skills to build himself out of it. I have clarity, I have peace of mind, and that allows me to take action, to disidentify with the things that I no longer want to identify with. I don't want to identify with the lower states of emotion, so I'm just going to let go, realize it's not me. It's literally an illusion being created through chemicals in my body. Take a deep breath, watch it naturally come up, and it will naturally go away. But if you resist those things, it is going to be the thing that persists. Now, the final thing that I want to give you before we close out this video is the actual blueprint to what it means to attract wealth at scale with energetics. So stick around for that. The final thing I want to share with you is expanding upon how you actually will be able to see material transformation in your life through an internal energetic shift. Now, I want you to remember what we talked about at the beginning. The paradigm shift you need to experience is to start living in the quantum physics type energetic manner instead of falling victim to the outdated paradigm of the Newtonian laws of physics. And I'm going to break this down by showing you how consciousness or our awareness, right, what we place our energy and attention onto is manifesting into a physical experience. Because if we know the quantum physics is going from a potentiality, right, just energetic potential, to actuality, what do we do in the meantime, right? So just know I'm going to use A, B, and C to describe energetics. Right here is A, B, and C, A, B, and C, A, B, and C. This is the internal frequency you're embodying in consciousness, right? So for the sake of simplicity, we're going to be breaking it down with there's going to be a lower state of consciousness and a higher state of consciousness. Now, the broken down ABC is going to be how we perceive these events in reality, right? So we think, hey, I woke up early and I went to the gym, which led me to create more content, which allowed me to have more time at the end of my day to chill because I did all the work I needed to do. That's what my ego is going to think is going on, right? Or it's what my ego is going to think, hey, like, Grant, you disidentified with this version of you that no longer smoked weed and ate like shit. And then you just naturally became the version of yourself that started to work with creators, build an online business, this and that, right? That's the perceived cause and effect that our ego is going to try and take credit for. Now, the rabbit hole goes deep, but we're going to keep this pretty surface level for now. Your only job is to change your internal state, and you do it through surrender, right? Surrender is letting go of this negativity. You don't have to be afraid. You're just choosing to engage with it. You're choosing to look in the mirror and be like, oh my God, I'm someone who's afraid to take action. No, you're not. You're just identifying with it. And because you're identifying with it, you're creating more thoughts and emotions, which is channeling this inner electromagnetic frequency, which is causing you to have a certain experience, which means when you wake up, you're going to hit snooze on the alarm. Then you're going to be late to the gym. And then you're going to do no work for that day, which is going to lead to no output in the direction of financial transformation. Versus if you're someone that is like, you know what? You wake up and you get the urge to snooze, but you don't do it, which means that you wake up, go to the gym and run. Because you didn't go late to the gym, now you have time to create content. Now that you're done with your work for the day, you have the time to chill and prepare for tomorrow and get more clarity and set goals, things to review, and intentions to bring to life, which eventually will manifest in the form of $1 million business like it did for me. This is how, looking back on it, I had to connect the dots for myself. This is what I was experiencing internally as a part of my journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, I titled this video, How I Reprogrammed My Mind to Manifest $1.7 million. My goal was to show you the biggest paradigm you needed to experience, which is going from a Newtonian view of the universe and energy to a quantum physics view. Realizing that things are spontaneously, energetically going from potential to actuality. They're not going from A to B to C. Like, that's not how it works. As soon as you can do this, you can start to begin to do the work to stop living in an unconscious way. Start disidentifying with the neural networks, the thoughts, the emotions, the patterns that are with an outdated identity. You do this through surrendering and letting go. In this process, you're restoring all of your energy to the moment. Now that you're restoring all of your energy to the moment, you're going to be able to consciously align your intentions with the version of yourself that is going to be able to experience more abundance effortlessly. Abundance is a product of internal energetic success, right? Once you realize that your experience is a product of your inner world and that it is not reliant upon the external world, you're going to be able to overcome this version of yourself you no longer want to be. Think about that. You can literally just energetically stop identifying with it. You can stop looking to the world for cause and effect, and your paradigm completely change. You're starting to live the way of the masters, the energetic sages. And in doing so, you're going to more naturally experience the effortless success and abundance you want to experience. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, drop a subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.